Hey everyone, it's Heidi, Fang, your Vegas Nation podcast host here, and I'm joined with our Raiders beat writer, Vinny, Bonsignore. We're out at the Raiders training facility here in Henderson, where another practice is just wrapped. They are ramping up for week 1 in Carolina. Vinny, we also heard from today Carl Nassib, defensive end, and Trayvon Mullen, young cornerback, about their expectations for this season. I particularly liked what Trayvon Mullen had to say. He said he's got this edge about him. What have you noticed about the secondary this year and Trayvon Mullen's edge?
Well, I've noticed swagger, edge, alpha dogs, and I've talked to Isaiah Johnson about this. He's also another young cornerback that the Raiders are counting on big time. This is a changed group, and they carry themselves with the demeanor that you want to see from a secondary, especially cornerbacks, where you're going to get beat at cornerback. That's just no question. That's life of that position. But you got to brush it off. You got to come back to the next play and win the next play and make sure one mistake doesn't turn into a slew of mistakes. And I just really like how they carry themselves with the confidence. They don't back down. They both look like they belong. When I say both, Damon Arnette and Trayvon Mullen. These are big-time players from big-time programs. That's obvious when you talk about Ohio State and Clemson. These guys have seen it all at the highest level in college. Nothing about the NFL is going to really intimidate them, and they certainly don't act like this is a bit too big a stage for them, because they look like they belong day in and day out here.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Damon Arnette, because since we have visited here, everybody, since yesterday, we didn't discuss what's happened here with his right hand. It's broken, it's in a cast, but he's played through injury before. You mentioned his college years. He did play through injury then as well. So do you think that this is a severe injury? How serious should we be taking this?
To be clear, it's his thumb. So if it's going to be, rather it be a thumb or a finger than the full hand. But he is used to playing with a cast on his hand. He played it the whole year last year at Ohio State, basically, with a broken wrist. So he knows how to get by, even playing with that kind of an injury, that kind of a bandage on his hand. So and he's kind of an hombre. He's a tough guy. He's already shown that. So I don't expect this to be a major deal for him. And I've talked to some people in the organization. He's going to be fine.
Okay, Carl Nassib, something that has been a big deal for him since he's moved to Las Vegas is kind of a change and getting used to the traffic. So let's hear from Carl Nassib now about that.
Las Vegas is great. People are very nice. I don't know what it is about the drivers here, but I have to be like Vin Diesel in Fast and Furious just to stay alive. I don't know, it's the craziest drivers I've ever experienced in my life. But other than that, it's been great.
Okay, Carl Nassib, getting used to being Vin Diesel in the Fast and the Furious, as he said.
All right, Carl. You could tell that Carl spent a little bit of time in Tampa Bay, where they drive very slow in Florida.
All right. Thoughts on the defensive end position right now and how it's coming together, especially with the offseason acquisition of Carl Nassib. And also, they all have good things to say, positive things to say about the addition of Rod Marinelli. So how are you looking at this entire defensive line grouping plus the addition of Marinelli?
Yeah, and we talked to Carl about the fact that, good teams have good rotations at defensive line, where you're keeping guys fresh and getting after it, so that you're playing quality snaps. You're spreading it out amongst more players. So Arden Key becomes a big factor in that. He's looked good in training camp. Carl Nassib obviously becomes a big part of that. Both of those guys are coming off the bench, and then that allows them to stay fresh. It allows Max Crosby to stay fresh, Cleve Farrell to stay fresh. So anytime you are able to build depth and quality depth and get guys coming off the bench that are going to give you quality snaps, it helps the whole thing. And yeah, no doubt about Rod Marinelli. That was a acquisition that I thought was one of the most important for the Raiders this offseason. And he's one of those guys, he's crusty, he's demanding, he yells, he cusses, he does all those things, but you can't help but love him. As a player, you can't help but love him, because he cares. And if he cares like that, then you ought to care like that as well.
Last thing I wanted to get on here with Carl Nassib was just that he had said since his days in Tampa, he's always kind of wanted to play for Jon Gruden. You hear the legend of Jon Gruden. Of course, he won a Super Bowl out there with Tampa. So what did you think about what he had to say there?
Yeah, that, and also making the transition back to the traditional 4-3 defensive end with his hand in the ground. He played some outside linebacker last year in Tampa Bay. He did it okay and well, but he's more of a traditional put your hand on the ground, rush the passer as a defensive end, and that's what he's going to be doing in the 4-3 defense here with the Las Vegas Raiders. So that in itself is going to help him because that's what he does. That's what he's more comfortable in. So it'll be interesting to see when that whole defensive line comes together in a real game to see how the snaps work out and their ability to create pressure off the edge.
Great stuff, Vinny. Thank you so much again. And we will be back here again tomorrow with another update from the Raiders training facility here in Henderson. So keep up with everything that we do on VegasNation.com and download the Vegas Nation app. For Vinny Bonsignore, I'm Heidi Fang. Thanks for watching.